Episode 111, The Creator, Luke Bruss. Good morrow, and welcome to this episode of The Realm. Today I have with me a very special guest, a longtime friend of mine. And if you're a creative like I am, and your work is in writing, you're an author, and you are visualizing these things in your head, oftentimes you need help from people that have other kind of creative talents that can draw or can program or can design. And today's guest is Luke Bruss, the creator. Luke was inspired as a young child by reading comics and graphic novels, and he has helped me out on the development of my products for the Realm of Warminster and my books, The Last Keeper and Voradin's Lair. And with that, welcome, Luke, welcome to the Realm.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. It's a
My
pleasure.
pleasure,
Always a
sir.
pleasure working with you.
Well, hey, thanks for doing this. Well, I want to kick this off because I mentioned it at the top. You really helped me design a lot of the stuff that's going into the realm, and viewers here are familiar with The Last Keeper and the Realm of Warminster. You know, I know there was an unorthodox thing that I had given you. You've designed lots of stuff, including merchandise for singers, and I saw that you were designing the outside of soda cans, commercial stuff. And then I came to you with this crazy idea of doing something for an author, a debut author at that, and ask you to come in and design a bunch of stuff for me. How was that transition, and how did it compare to the rest of your portfolio?
It was actually pretty seamless. Um, the way I look at design is I start with an idea of how I want a particular design to be, whether it's a soda can or album art or deciduals for you, and go from there. It's almost, I wouldn't necessarily say seat of the pants kind of thing, but it's kind of leaning that way.
Well, it's funny you mention that because when I visited your website, the name creator was spelled out in really big comic booky kind of letters. And to me, anybody that's a fan of graphic novels or old school comics or even new school comics would love that and say, oh, this is perfect for what, I was looking for. But I know you have a love of comics and in particular the X-Men, but tell us a little bit about what drove you to that? Was that something you picked up as a kid? Or did you pick that up later in life? And how does that affect the kind of stuff that you design?
Yeah, I definitely picked it up as a kid. Back then, I spent a lot of time in the hospital. I had a lot of leg surgeries, and so I spent a lot of time either in the hospital or on the couch with a cast. Really couldn't really run around as much, and so that was something cheap and quick that my parents could get me and just give them to me, and I blew through them.
So it was like your escapism, right?
Yeah, that and the classics. Obviously, like I mentioned, Beowulf was another one that I really was drawn to. I was probably the only fourth or fifth grader reading Beowulf back in the day.
Well, I'll
Um,
tell you what, I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I got drawn into fantasy. I had a fourth grade English teacher. When he fell ill, he took a medical sabbatical, and the substitute teacher somehow got permission from my principal to read us Lord of the Rings. And that's all we did for like 5 weeks. And by then, I was hooked. I was all in for fantasy adventure. And I was already a comic book fiend. It was something that just came to me naturally. So I know that you're a big reader of comics. What's your favorite old school comic, and what's your favorite new school comic?
I've always been a big Superman guy. I've always been a big X-Men guy. I remember watching the X-Men cartoons as a kid. New school, I kind of like the Marvel stuff. I probably have a dozen Marvel movies over on my shelf here, and the Avengers stuff is pretty much up there too.
Well, you mentioned Beowulf before. I know that those old classics are something you hold near and dear to your heart. I've read many of them too. Do you find that you get a lot of the inspiration for your creativity from them?
That's a really good question. I don't know if it influences a lot of my work. I would definitely say the comic books definitely do
Oh yeah.
influence my design style quite a bit more. In fact, I have the X Men seal as my wallpaper on my computer, and that is the design motif, I guess, and I'm going with my the latest rendition of my website,
hmm
which is what you mentioned, the creator and the big action letters, bright colors.
So, Luke, a lot of the stuff that you do is very visual. And as an author, I write things that are all mental. So it's hard to see them. There's nothing I can show you. How do you, as a developer, find inspiration enough to work with someone like me? And how does that translate into real world product?
I think it's we have the same past basically with our passions. Whether it was Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or the comic book stuff. It's almost that I know what you're thinking based on Even something as simple as like the creative briefs for the sigils. I already knew what you were getting at, and it was basically something that I would design for myself if I wanted the same thing.
Yeah, so you think your familiarity with the genre helps you kind of
Yeah,
visualize that and you're able to drop that into the final products then?
yeah, absolutely.
Who in your business do you try to emulate? Is there a firm? Is there an
Wow, yeah.
individual? Is there someone that you look up to that you would see as a mentor? Has someone mentored you?
From a design aspect, Chris Do. He's definitely the main guy that I pay attention to. He does a lot of the design stuff, but he also does a lot of the business stuff too.
So tell us about your portfolio a little bit. If there was something you could add to it, like a project that was a dream project that you'd love to throw that and the reason I ask that is behind you I can see a handful of hockey jerseys. So I mean, is it to do
Yeah,
more sports related stuff?
it would definitely be creative for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Obviously, you meant the jerseys. I would love to do
And I
design
happen to
work
be
for the
wearing a
Penguins.
shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the pinnacle for me.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, hey, look, we're coming to the end of our time. And as you know, we like to do something called the lightning round. So I've got a list of questions here that are designed just for you. One word answers, maybe short. I'll let you go with some short answers if you have an explanation dropped in there. But I'll fire through these and then we'll wrap it up. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So the easiest one, this is the softball of all lightning round questions. Marvel or DC?
Marvel,
All right. And why Marvel?
because it's the X Men. They have the X Men.
All right, all
That's
right.
my
I'll
guy.
let you. Yeah. So, what was your favorite comic as a kid?
Definitely the X Men again.
All right, all right. Okay. So, all right. So, who's your favorite X-Man?
Wolverine. I do, however, like Gambit. I actually have a Gambit figurine right here.
Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna call an audible here, man. I mean, you just mentioned Wolverine. So, Wolverine or Deadpool?
Wolverine, easy.
All right. Let me ask this question one more time. Wolverine or Deadpool?
Still gonna be
Get it right
Wolverine.
this time.
As a kid growing up, always in the hospital, who wouldn't want his healing powers? I mean, come on.
So, Hugh Jackman versus Ryan Reynolds. Your team, Hugh. Yeah.
Team you, yes.
All right. Okay. I can see. And then finally, Luke, what comic would the creator, Luke Bruss, want to go back and remake? I'll give you carte blanche to tell me what you would want to do with it.
Oh wow. Well, I'll tell you what. It's little known, but there was a TV show when I was in college called Jericho. It was basically about this small town in Kansas sees a nuclear detonation go off way off in the distance. It only lasted 2 seasons, left everybody with a sour note the way it ended. That's definitely one thing that I would rewrite, I think.
Well, hey, look, that's great, man. With that, I want to thank you for coming to the realm, and I appreciate it. And good luck with the creator.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. I told you guys this show often is not just about authors, it's about creatives. And a guy like Luke, who has a different kind of talent that you can marry up with folks like us in the authorship business, is fun. And Luke's next project, he didn't mention it on the show, but he's working with me and Jay Rizio, the CEO of Melderverse. Jay's designing an augmented and virtual reality game out of the realm of Warminster. Luke is going to be part of the artistic team for the NFTs that we're selling as part of the game. So if you're into NFT collection, if you're into design stuff and you want to take a lesson from a guy who's been around the block, this is a guy to take a look at and follow. Thank you again for watching The Realm. It's been a pleasure hosting you, and may your gods go with you.